What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm waiverwirequeen. In this week's episode, we are going to do a mock draft. We're going to do our first and only mock draft for the upcoming fantasy basketball season. During this mock draft, we'll talk about some sleepers and potential breakout players going into fantasy basketball season. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of great content which will help you prepare for your drafts and help you throughout the fantasy basketball season. This draft is going to be a standard fantasy basketball draft, and we're going to do this draft via the Sleeper app. So let's get ready to do this draft. Right, y'all. So we are going to pick six. And again, I'll give you some sleepers who you should consider starting and some players who may potentially outproduce their current ADP. But let's get this thing started. We already know certain players will be first. We know that the Joker will be first. That is just simply a given this year. Make sure you check out my top 20 fantasy basketball players. Those are obviously the best players in this draft. Do I think it's a little bit early for LaMelo Ball? Maybe not. He is pretty much going to be the offense that this season for that team. But I'm gonna do my little due diligence and see who else is out there that I may like a little bit over him. I got Kevin Durant. I love Kevin Durant in fantasy, but can he stay healthy? That's one of the main concerns I have for him. There's also LeBron James. I really love LeBron James too in fantasy. One of the best producers statistically in fantasy football. But again, can he remain healthy? Right here, I'm gonna end up going with. I'm gonna stretch it and come all the way down here. I'm gonna take Karl Anthony Towns. Now he may see a slight decrease in his rebounds because of the trade they made for this guy Rudy, but I still expect him to be one of the top players this year in fantasy. And I definitely wanted to secure a big man who's going to be capable of doing multiple things for my team. And when I look, I still have some very good talent on the board here. And surprisingly, I'm going to go and I'm going to take Sabonis. Sabonis is one of those players I simply love. He's going to shoot a very good percentage from the field, which means he's going to be efficient. He's going to rebound the ball. And I don't mean just 8-9 rebounds. I mean, he's going to get you well over a double-double every night for the most part, rebound-wise. So he's going to average at least 12 rebounds per game and get you 19 to 20, 21 points per game. And then right here, I have some options. I can go with Rudy, just not a fan of him, but I also have DeJounte Murray. I have Anthony Edwards, and let's just take a look at what we have here. Look at our guards. We have some very good guards on the board. I do believe Donovan Mitchell will be good, but I do believe his stats will kind of slightly come down a bit. You got to look at the talent on that team. Let's look at our forwards. We have some very good forwards here. Zion is here, and then you got Anthony Edwards, who's going to be good as well this year. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to secure a guard. And I do believe DeJounte is going to be very good this year. And I don't think he's going to produce what he did this past season because you're on a much talented team. You have Trey there. So you're not going to have to do everything. So he's still going to be good. But again, I do anticipate that statistically he will come down a bit. Okay. And let's just go and do it. So I'm going to just take a very, very risky chance here. And I'm going to take Zion Williamson because that's a very good place for him to be drafted. So a few players who will outperform their current ADP is Jamal Murray. He is back this season, right? Yes, should be at full strength. Kawhi Leonard is another player who should outperform his current ADP. I have Anthony Davis, when healthy, is a top 10 player in fantasy basketball. But again, when is he ever healthy? That is the big problem. Like, do you take a chance and do you risk everything for Anthony Davis? And it's a very tough decision, right? It's very stressful. It's hard to make that choice. So we're looking here and just surveying and see who's good. I really do like Porzingis, but again, he's another one of those players. It's a high risk, high reward, but the risk is so high due to the injuries that it's hard to justify picking him. So we have some very good talent so far. I do love what we've done, and now let's just see who's the best player here, right? We got. I would always go with Holiday over Scary Terry. I just would. I think OG is going to slightly come down this year. I do like Brandon Ingram here because Brandon Ingram's going to do a lot. And so I'm just going to come out here. I'm just going to take Brandon Ingram. I like that pick. Brandon Ingram's going to score the ball. He's going to get you at least 6-7 rebounds. So he's going to get you at least 20 to 23 points per game and about 6-7 rebounds. That's good production for me. And I'm very happy with that. Jalen Brunson is a player who's going to have a breakout year. He's been showing signs every season. Now he's going to be officially the full-time guy. You're the guy. You're the starter for the Knicks. So the opportunity is going to be there, but I do want to see what's going to happen when he has some issues on the defensive side of the ball and what Tibbs is going to do, okay? You know how Tibbs is. Tibbs is defense, 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 okay? And that is it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come all the way down here because I just watched and I noticed a player who is here. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, what? Yes, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is a triple-double threat, okay? Even though you have Kyrie and KD, Ben Simmons is still going to get you at least 13 points, 8-9 rebounds, 8-9 assists, played very good defense. So that means he's going to get you some steals, some blocks. That's the kind of player you want on your team, and he should be good to go this year. We're going to cross our fingers and hope for that. You know how you already know how things can go with him. So here's one of my players who I think is primed for a very good year, Christian Wood with the Dallas Mavs. This was a perfect trade for him. One of the best moves the Mavs have made. So Christian Woods is a player who's going to average at least 7-8 rebounds, going to shoot a very good percentage from the field, and he's going to score 17, 18 points. With Luka and a better offensive scheme, those numbers may increase. So this was a very good move for all parties involved. So I am sure Wood was very pleased. I have Devin Vassell, another player who's primed for a breakout season and he's also a sleeper because again, for San Antonio, they're just in a rebuild. And when you have a player like Devin Vassell, who's very good offensive wise, and he's going to get more opportunities because they simply don't have the talent on that roster. You have a sleeper and you have a player who's primed for a breakout season. Now let's look and see what we have going on here. We need to add some more talent. We just want to look for the best available talent in this draft. I like Wendell Carter because he's going to score and he's going to give me rebounds. But my biggest concern with him is, damn, can you ever stay healthy? He just can't stay healthy, and that's the problem. Okay, I like Russell, but it's not, it's not a player that I simply have to have. Miles Bridges is here, but he's got a lot of things going on, so it's a no for me. Again, I can take Tyler Hero, but what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna end up taking Wendell Carter because I do believe a healthy Wendell Carter is going to be very efficient for my team, especially rebounding and everything. So I have a very good combination of forwards and centers, which is very good in regards to rebounding. So now I can start looking at other players here. This looks like a very good situation with the centers, but I don't feel like right now I need to add another center. So what I'm going to do is just kind of look here. I do believe Malcolm Brogdon will be good, but I don't believe he'll be as good statistically because you're on the Boston Celtics, who's loaded with talent, and you're not their first, second, and probably not even their third option scoring wise. So I expect his stats to come down. And that's just what it's going to be. So I really do need to add a guard here. So I'm just going to have to look. But I do have the flexibility with Ben Simmons and DeJounte. But still, I need to add another one. So what I'm going to do here is simply just add Gary Trent. Because I think Gary Trent is a very good player. He's going to be that guy who's going to help my team with the threes and things like that. So that is why we are going with him. Let's look at some other players we like. Again, it gets really tight late in your drafts in fantasy basketball because the talent drops off. Okay, it simply does. I'm not gonna lie to you, but again, there's still very good players here. I like Cole Anthony, so I'm gonna take Cole Anthony over Smart, even though I really like Smart, but I like Cole Anthony more in the sense that the opportunity to score and do some things is going to be there. I like Levert because he's going to be one of those under the radar players who people are going to be like, nah, it's not there because they've added Mitchell. Still is a very good option, and he's a sleeper now because of that. So if you can potentially add him, then add him. Let's look at some of these other players here. I'm gonna come all the way down here because it's just disrespectful for Klay Thompson to be this late, and that was a very good late pick. And so Klay may essentially end up being my starter over Gary Trent. We got to stop acting like Klay just can't play the game. I'll tell you this: with Klay, this is going to be a better year for him than last year because last year he's returning from not playing basketball for damn near 2 years. You already know knee injuries, Achilles, all of that stuff. It's complicated to come back immediately and perform at the level you did prior to the injury. And you got to think this is not just one injury, and this is not just one season or a half season. We're talking about 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons, pretty much to a certain extent. So I believe Klay will be much better this year. And here's another player I really love this season, Josh Hart. He's going to be the starter for the Trailblazers. And with Josh Hart, we know he's going to do a lot. What I look at Josh Hart is a stat stuffer. He's going to stuff the stat sheet. He's going to rebound. He's going to steal the ball. He's going to do a lot. He's going to score. He's going to do multiple things, again, to stuff the stat sheet and help your team. So, again, we may have not added the guards, a shooting guard at the early stage of the draft, but we've been able to add some very good value here late, and you can do that as well. Although you can get a center or a power forward who may rebound the ball, but again, they're not going to be difference makers like Sabonis and Karl Anthony Towns. So consider taking this approach. Again, don't be afraid to draft Ben Simmons because, again, Ben Simmons was still a triple double threat, even though he wasn't a great shooter. But when you look at his shooting percentages, he stayed in his comfort zone and was around the basket and still was a good shooter from where he was shooting from. So don't let anyone tell you to not take Ben Simmons. Just don't do it. And again, do I want to come here and add another guard? I think Io is going to have a very good year this year. I probably want to look at forwards to see if there's anyone here I am considering. And I'm going to come all the way down here and I'm just going to take Harrison Barnes. He's always one of my go-tos because with Harrison Barnes, he's going to consistently get me what I need off of my bench. And again, when you are building your fantasy basketball team, it is not just about your starters. It's definitely about your bench. 82 games, right? It's an 82-game season, injuries, load management, all of that good stuff. So you have to have reliable players to come off your bench to help you. So don't neglect the players that you choose to come off your bench and fill in for your guys, because guess what? You're going to need to use those guys. So consider just be extra careful who you draft for your bench. And let's just look down here. Staying away from Obi. I'm going to come all the way down here and yes, this is a wild card pick, and I thought about Lauri Markkanen. Thing is, what is going on with Utah, right? They're in the rebuild. They don't have a lot of talent. Markkanen, as long as he is able to remain healthy, he's going to play. We know that he is really healthy, but guess what? He's going to play. Here are some players you need to beware and be careful drafting, but again, high risk, high reward, and these are all due to injuries. Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, Michael Porter Jr., and Ben Simmons. Some breakout players you definitely need to focus on. Scotty Barnes, great two-way player. Cade Cunningham is going down this year. He is a very good smooth scorer. I'd love to see those shooting percentages go up, because he will go from a 17-point scorer to a 20, 22-point scorer if he can improve his shooting percentages. Jalen Green, another one. Increase those shooting percentages. You'll be even better. Okay. Tyrese Halliburton, breakout season coming. He is essentially the best player on that team. The starting point guard should have a breakout season, should do a lot for the Pacers this year. And Josh Giddey is another player who we were surprised at last year, but he's going to take the next step and be even better this year. But let's get this last pick going, because we need to pick somebody, right? Yes. There are a lot of players who I feel will take the next step, but what we're looking for is a player who is going to have some very good production for us, and it's a very good value pick. I would love Paul, but again, you have Kawhi coming back, you have Paul George. It's just too much of the same type of position there. If he was on another team, I would pick him, but just not going to do it. So let's look and see what centers here. We want to make sure we check everything out without centers. And I already see the guy who I'm going to take. There is some very good value here. You got Bobby Portis, Al Horford. So we're going to take Bobby Portis, but also keep in mind you had Al Horford here, who is definitely in line to play a very good role for the Celtics this year, because you got to think Williams isn't ready to go, right? So he should be that guy who is going to pick up where he left off last season, until we know, what's going on with Williams. And again, Williams tend to always get hurt. So here is my team. Got the Waiver Wire Queen team here. Team Waiver Wire Queen, y'all. And you can see team even here. So that's my team. Very good team. That's just the team that we put together. It's a very good team again. However you choose to build your team, just make sure you focus on your bench. Don't neglect your bench, because your bench is very important to your team as well. Make sure you leave some comments and let me know your thoughts of my draft. And also make sure you hit the subscribe button. Your notifications are turned on. It's almost time for the season. Make sure you tune in on Monday, because we will talk about some last minute players you should be focusing on for the upcoming fantasy basketball season. It is here. It is time. It's going to be a fun year. Good luck doing your drafts. I'll see you guys on Monday.
Thanks for listening to The Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to The Score for more fun and great advice on how to win at fantasy basketball. And if you've got comments or questions about The Score, send them to waiverwirequeen@gmail.com. The Score.